Another payday for Phil and Frank, baby. FIF. Say it out loud. More money, more money.
FIF?
You said it,
sound
not
like
me.
more money Mayweather in a minute. We don't want that.
Not that much money. It's money, not that much money.
Welcome to BTI, the old grump has a day off. So I'm happy to be joined by our great friend from the Athletic, Mr. Frank Isola.
Wow, he's here.
Oh, goodness.
They love me down
I'm
here.
not sure we want. We begin with the Eagles' no-contest victory over the now hapless New York Giants in Giant Stadium last night. Okay, Carson Wentz completed 13 of 14 passes for 2 touchdowns just on third downs. But everything has to be put into the context of the Giants stinking up the joint, other than Saquon Barkley, who rushed for 130 yards, caught passes for 99 more. We'll get to the Giants in a minute, Frank, but does what you saw last night of the Eagles make you think the champs are back on track?
I like you trolling the Jet fans by calling it Giant Stadium. It's MetLife Stadium, and don't you forget
Giant Stadium.
You know, when I look at the Eagles, they've always been the class of this division. I think maybe a bit of a hangover from the Super Bowl. Plus, you're getting Carson Wentz back, a guy recovering from a major knee surgery. Last night, their offense, first time this season, they scored more than 24 points. And I get it, the Giants are a complete mess right now. But they are the best team. The division's not that good. This trend is going to continue for the Eagles.
Frank, I think it is, too, from a little bit of what we saw last night, but I can't separate it. I mean, when you just go out there against a tomato can, and we will get to the Giants more
They're
detail.
all tomato cans in that division. That's the problem.
That's it. The Eagles don't have to be great between now and the 1st of December. But here's my bigger question. When all you get is a string of tomato cans, starting with the Giants, then the Cowboys, the Redskins, they may be slightly better than a tomato can, but not a lot better. Can you be great? What are you flexing your muscles against? When you're not tested between now and December in your division, how can we conclude anything about the Eagles?
Well, I still think it's about getting Carson Wentz. When you miss that much time, and remember, it's a strange situation. Here's the defending Super Bowl champions basically working in the quarterback who wasn't there when they won the Super Bowl.
Agreed.
But, you know, you're talking about being tested. They have to go to London to play Jacksonville, and then they go to New Orleans, and they have to go to L.A. So they'll have some tough games. The offensive line is a little banged up right now. But you can
see last night.
It, to me, is by far the best team. Dallas is Dallas. The Giants are not going anywhere, and Washington just isn't that good right now. All right, the Giants, of course, are officially a train wreck, and there's plenty of blame to go around. Eli Manning continues to struggle, and Odell Beckham, well, he continues to be Odell Beckham. He was last seen heading to the locker room with 2 seconds left in the first half and was then spotted headbutting a Giant fan, not an actual person, a fan, on the sideline. He was also fined for comments he made to ESPN last week. So, Michael, who is the bigger issue for the Giants? Is it Eli or OBJ?
I don't care about any of that junk they care about in New York. You know, we went to the locker room early. Guys go to the locker room early if you're watching closely almost every game because they're starting some sort of treatment and they need a couple of extra minutes longer than halftime allows. So that's almost an irresponsible storyline. The storyline, which really developed last year and the coach got fired for it, is the benching, which needs to happen, of Eli Manning, except there's no one to play. So they got to start him again. They don't have the quarterback of the future on that roster. Frank, he can't throw the ball downfield. At times last night, we were looking at a stretch of passes where he couldn't get the ball 5 yards down the field.
Right.
He's not Eli Manning anymore. He's just a guy. And so the Giants aren't going to be any better than Eli Manning until they figure out what to do about that quarterback position. That starts in the draft, not this season.
All right, well, Pat Shurmur today said that he's sticking with Eli Manning. When you think about it, maybe Eli picked his replacements because there's really no one to go in. There's no incumbent quarterback. And when you mention Saquon Barkley, and he is a brilliant player. He's a dynamic player, you know, and Eli dumps the ball off to him basically half the game. But they had a chance in the draft this year to take Sam Darnold with the 2nd overall pick.
But behind the offensive line as bad as the Giants, that would have been a disaster too.
You don't think that Saquon Barkley, though? Think about what he's getting hit every game. They're giving him the ball almost 30 times a game.
Frank, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of watching the young Walter Payton with the Bears on teams that were never any good, and he was not just brilliant, he was a god. And you look at the team, you said they can't do anything until they get a quarterback, and they didn't do that for like 12 years. But this is bad for the Giants, man. There's no easy solution.
Let me give you this stat. Since Eli won his second Super Bowl MVP, they're 43-58, and that includes being 0-1 in the playoffs, and they're 4-19 in their last 23 games. They're going nowhere fast. It's time to make a change at that position.
Number 1 draft pick, and with the first pick of the 2019 NFL Draft. All right, we're just a few hours from the first pitch of the NLCS, Brewers versus Dodgers. While the Dodgers are somehow a betting favorite, it's the Brewers who enter this series having won 11 straight, including a dominant sweep of the Rockies. Milwaukee starting Gio Gonzalez, who hasn't pitched in a full 2 weeks, against Clayton Kershaw, who's 4-1 in Miller Park with an ERA of 1.40. Frank, can you see the Brewers rolling right through the Dodgers, too?
No, I'm not sure about rolling through them. I think it could be a long series. And it's funny about Clayton Kershaw. And the narrative for him really going into last season was that he struggled in the postseason. Last 5 postseason starts, 3-0, 2.93 ERA. So he has been very good. And what's interesting about the Brewers, for them, it's all about their bullpen. They're trying to make the game a 5-inning game so they can get to their bullpen, especially Josh Hader, who has been complete lights out. But you mentioned Gio Gonzalez. Since they acquired him, the Brewers are 5-0 in the games that he has started. So we'll see. I'm going with the experienced guy tonight, but something tells me over the course of this series, the Milwaukee Brewers bullpen will be the difference.
Well, I just wrote down one theme thought for me on this series is Brewers bullpen. I mean, it's not just Hader. It's Jefferson, it's Knebel, it's Soria. I mean, when they get out there, they have just been dominant, and the team has been dominant. And some of those games they had to win, remember, they were chasing. They had to fend off the Cardinals and then get past and knock down the Cubs. And they did it against proven teams lately, including a World Series champ once removed. So I think the Brewers, forget favorite. I understand that's about betting, and people like Kornheiser don't even acknowledge that the state of Wisconsin exists, and they're the ones who are betting. But I'll take the Brewers absolutely in this 7-game series, and I don't think it's going to go more than 5, maybe 6.
Admit it, though, it's great to see baseball, playoff baseball in the Midwest, isn't it? I want you to be honest.
Always.
By the way, a couple of things to pay attention to. The Dodgers batted .210 against the Braves. Won the series in 4 games, but they hit 8 home runs. And Christian Yelich, who is, probably going to win the MVP, 9 of 17 lifetime.
Definitely MVP.
Burton Clayton Kershaw. All right, the Red Sox reward for eliminating the 100-win Yankees is a date with the Houston Astros, winners of 103 games this year. The defending champs, they're going to start their ace, Justin Verlander, in Game 1. Boston will throw its top starter, Chris Sale, who beat the Yankees last week and is 5-2 lifetime against Houston. However, Michael, Sale was roughed up in his 2 appearances last October against the Astros. So are you betting on Chris Sale in a big game like this?
No, and I know he came through,
I agree.
I mean, beautifully in the last game. I mean, he put the Yankees in his pocket. But Verlander and I presume Cole, I mean, I like the top of their rotation better. Here's what I like almost as well as their starting rotation. Springer, Altuve, Bregman, Uriel, and Gonzalez. Not to mention, in some order, 6 and 7 guys like Correa and Reddick and Correa. That lineup and the pitching, the combination of old-fashioned starting pitching, top of lineup, I'm still going with the Astros. And maybe it'll be a tight game. Maybe it'll be a 2-1 game and Sale will be up to it. But it's hard to go with him, Frank, given his recent history in October.
A couple of things. You mentioned Chris Sale. Think about the pressure. If he loses Game 1, that is going to be on David Price in Game 2, a guy that's 0-9 in his career when he starts a playoff game. So and at Fenway Park, he can get booed by the first inning of that game. And now you look at Houston starters in their 3-game sweep against Cleveland. Their starters gave up 13 hits in 3 games. So their starting staff is terrific. And you mentioned the lineup. Do you know that Houston this year scored 99 fewer runs than they did last year? But that was Altuve was hurt, Correa was hurt, Springer. Now all those guys are back. I get that they won 5 less games than Boston, but for me, pitching, bullpen, and lineup, Houston's a better team.
Well, and again, it's just not, I mentioned starting pitching, you added bullpen, it's both.
Yeah.
Both those units have been great. All right, time for Jimmy Butler today. He did not travel with the Timberwolves to Milwaukee for the night's preseason finale. He stayed back in Minneapolis to, quote, work on his conditioning, according to Tibbs. Asked whether he expects Butler to be with the team on opening night Wednesday, Tibbs said, quote, that situation remains fluid, close quote. In the meantime, Papa T-Wolf, Kevin Garnett, told The Athletic, I think both sides are a little delusional. And Pat Riley called Tibbs, brace yourself, earmuffs, an MF for what he thinks is the Timberwolves backing out of a deal. Frank, where do you want to start with this?
Yeah, the Timberwolves have to apologize to Pat Riley for wanting to trade their best player and not get what they felt was equal value. This happens all the time, so I'm not worried about Pat Riley being upset. What's interesting about Kevin Garnett, he came out and said, you know what, I used to do this all the time in practice as well. I'm surprised that this got out. So this situation is not going to end anytime soon. I'm telling you, Tom Thibodeau wants Jimmy Butler on this team. Jimmy Butler said something the other day. He said, I'm telling you, Tom is in his office smiling that this happened at practice today. And I agree with him because they're cut from the same cloth. They're ultra competitive. They want to win. They want to push the envelope. That's why Tom, when he was coaching in Boston as an assistant coach, got along so well with Garnett. He's the same way.
Well, and we know, look, Tibbs worked so hard to get Jimmy Butler. It wasn't some accident. The owner didn't trade for him. Tom Thibodeau did. So still, I understand, okay, is this the best situation? Is this exemplary behavior from the guy you want to be your leader? Maybe not. But the bottom line is, with him in that lineup, the T-Wolves were third in the West last season. And they ought to be better having played together a season and with Butler starting it healthy. So I'm still one of those people who believes he can be in that lineup. I don't know whether he will be. Maybe Glenn Taylor is an egomaniac enough that he'll get involved in the basketball matter. He probably should leave to his coach and lead player.
Let me say this, though, okay? And I know you like Jimmy Butler. I love the way that he plays. When he kept talking about honesty. If they had given him the money that he wanted, this idea that he can't play with Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, he would be fine playing with them if he got the money.
Yeah.
So he could say it's not about the money. Stop, Jimmy. It's about the money.
It's always about the money. It should be about the money.
Absolutely.
Let's take a break. Coming up, Scott Frost and Chip Kelly have yet to win a game between them. Are they just going through periods of adjustment, or are they in big trouble in Nebraska and UCLA?
And is big bad Alabama taking a risk by starting Tua Tagovailoa against Missouri? Michael Wilbon might start.
Big risk. I don't think Alabama has a big risk.
He got to play. He wants to win the Heisman. That's why I think he's going to play.
Yeah.